What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a wonderful week so far. Before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow the podcast. It kind of keeps the podcast going, and I really appreciate it. Been on a roll. We're at 82 episodes now, which is mad to think that we've been doing this for this long. And we're just going to keep going. So this week on the podcast, the one and only Yousef. Yousef doesn't really need much of an introduction, but he is the man behind Circus, the formidable club night based out of Liverpool, and kind of tours that around as well. Also Circus Recordings, had some insane records out on that record label. Brought some new artists through as well. It's just a lovely guy, really important person in the scene. Without further ado, Yousef. Yousef, what's cooking, man?
Oh, my brain. it's always being boiled, to be perfectly honest.
How's things with you?
Yeah, it's crazy always, because I do so many things, and with children and the label and the events and shindig and circus and moving house and this. Honestly, man, from 1 second to the next, it's always in the red. But I try to stay pretty chilled. What about you, Will? How are you, man?
I'm really good, man. I'm really good. I'm just back in the UK at the moment, and it's like raining. And this sounds really stupid, but I really like it. And
I love it.
I'm so happy that it's like, because it's been beautiful weather like the last couple of weeks since I've been back. And it's like the first day where I could wear a beanie, and I'm like, yeah, this is proper England. This is what I come back for.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, once I finish this, I'm going to go out for a long run, rain or shine.
Yeah, it's nice. Something nice about it. It's been like, I don't know about you, but obviously in the summer I was in the States, and it was just relentlessly hot everywhere I went. And I know it's a terrible thing to complain about, but it's just like 40-degree heat, and you're like, what the hell is this? This is like, humans shouldn't be in this type of weather. So it's nice
hard work, and it's getting worse, isn't it? I think that's why the UK is becoming more and more popular.
Right, I know, it's great. Yeah. It's great. How's Liverpool? You live in Liverpool, right?
Well, I did until about 2 years ago.
Okay.
I lived in London for years, in Ibiza, then I come back to Liverpool for a couple of years, but now I live in the countryside, I guess. Nearest place is North Wales.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, literally, the village I live in, it's like 400 years old.
Oh, amazing, man.
It's like there's no shops, there's no bars, there's restaurants, with nothing at all. We've got a bus stop that it's like a library.
Yeah.
And it's called a book stop, and that's the highlight of the village. That's it.
Yeah, I live in exactly the same type of situation where it's just like in the middle of nowhere, no neighbors, like nothing, and it's.
Oh, really?
It's perfect, man. Yeah, it's just. I don't know. There's something about the countryside that is just like. I don't know. We're always in cities, right? Every weekend, we're kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
All around traveling and always around people, and something about coming to the countryside when all the touring's done is just like relaxing. Yeah, shut off. Yeah, how do the kids find it? Do they enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, it's so mellow, and they go to school in Chester now. We drive half an hour into Chester twice a day, and they're cool in there. But where I live, it's just mellow. Yeah. It's just really, like I say, you might see. You know what? The crime rate is going through the roof, though.
Really?
Yeah. A couple of months ago, it was quite bad. Someone was going around putting their fingers in bottles of milk.
Yeah.
So, like made the local paper.
Oh my God! I remember during COVID, there's like a local famous cider farm near us called Wilkie's Cider, and like it was kind of around June time. The headline on the newspaper was Richie's Wilkins Cider cures COVID, and it was literally like this guy was saying how cider cures COVID, and you're just like, you would never get these headlines in national newspaper, but that's what the whole point of the countryside, right?
I love it.
It's the best. But how was your summer?
Mellow. comparatively speaking. I mean, well, actually, let me just rephrase that. Obviously, things started again.
Yeah.
And kicked off for us earlier than everybody else.
Yeah.
I didn't do too many non-UK gigs, and I guess by normal summer standards, really mellow.
Yeah.
By the standards of the year before, because of COVID, it was fine. Nice to kind of start getting back out there.
Yeah.
But overall, my love affair with going to airports has diminished by choice. Like I went to America the other week, and yeah, man, I loved the gigs. It was fun, but the threat on my vitality, I'm just not up for it at all. I want to feel healthy and clear-headed and calm.
It's weird, isn't it? Because the whole COVID thing is just made airports. I know airports weren't necessarily the most enjoyable places in the first place, but it's just so unenjoyable to travel at all.
You know what? It was all right to have a couple of days off from the children because I'd not had a day off from them in 20 months at all, and I love it. I'm committed.
Yeah.
Super dada. It's ridiculous, actually. Comparatively speaking, but it was nice to have a minute. Really,
I bet they loved it having you around for that long.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I do 50% of everything, no matter what, regardless of that's my top list of my jobs to do. Be a dada. Everything else has to work around that.
Ah, totally, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. I want to talk about the first show back because you guys were early. You're premature for all of us. You're kind of the lab experiment. How did that all work?
Well, it was. Well, I'll kind of try to get a synopsis of the story.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm sure you've seen that during the COVID crisis, I was like, okay, look, guys, I was just sitting down one day in the other room through there, thinking, what can I do to get amongst this, to help people to find out why we're being left behind, as an industry, because I just didn't imagine in a million years that the government didn't recognize any of what we do. I mean, look at your room, you're clearly a professional and they just don't get it.
Yeah.
So I started kind of digging into my local MP, and then who put me in touch with the guys at Liverpool Council. And we're just having discussions, and then because I was kicking up so much dust, well, because then Liverpool got put into Tier 3, or Tier 4 prematurely compared to the rest of the country, it was really, really disproportionately unfair. So because I was kicking up dust, for some reason, Prince William wanted to kind of find out what was going on in Liverpool and why they were disproportionately treated. And he asked, okay, we need to speak to someone who is the man on the ground. And he asked to speak to me.
No way.
Which was kind of quite cool. It was just in the other room. And I thought it was going to be a 2-minute chat, but it was like a 45-minute conversation. And the only kind of protocol, I thought he'd be like, call on this, say that, or they sit up straight. They said, just give it to him.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, don't worry about your P's and Q's. Just say how it is. So myself and this other business owner, Natalie, did, and he was great and he was really helpful. But it kind of moved the cogs along a little bit with the discussion, and then the plight to try and help the industry got ignited by that, and then things moved along, and the voices became a bit more clear. Then MPs wanted to start talking, and then the battle to kind of get our voices heard. I was very clear what I wanted to do at the beginning. I didn't want to kind of go on these protests and shouting and screaming and trying to kind of go against it. I wanted to learn their language and get them to learn ours and go, look, guys, let's collaborate, because without the collaboration, it's just going to be a fight. So that's what I did. But during simultaneously with all this, I was knocking on the door of Liverpool Council going, guys, surely at some point there's got to be an end game to this. There's got to be a strategy. How does the industry get back into position? We've got to have some sort of practice events. And we're like, oh yeah, maybe down the road we'll see what happens and all those things. So I'd been in touch myself, my business partner Richard, saying we're ready. If you want anything, give us a shout. Simultaneously to that, Liverpool had the chief executive of Liverpool Council, a guy called Tony Reeves, who I was with the other day, funnily enough. He bravely took the mantle to make Liverpool the first city in the UK to have mass testing.
Yeah.
And, obviously when it was a bit of a dirty word, testing at those times, it was really risky. But the people of Liverpool, as always, stepped up, and the charge to kind of get tested was phenomenal. So, and that was rolled out nationwide because of what happened in Liverpool. So when the mass testing events, when the test raves or events came to fruition, because the R rate was below 500 and 1 in 500.
Yep.
They were like, okay, Tony Reeves, who is the person in your city to do this? And they're like, we know, because it wasn't just because we've been knocking on the door. It's because we had the team, and we had the warehouse, and we had the infrastructure, and we had access to the public, if you like. So we got 3 weeks' notice and said, do you want to do it? And me and Rich, my business partner, were like, yeah, man, let's just give it a go.
Yeah.
Assuming actually that there would be some sort of support, economic support, but there wasn't. So it was like, do you want to do it? Go on, then.
You're on your own.
Yeah. Which was, given like obviously we've been out of business for like 18 months at that point, so maybe a bit more, or 14 months at that point. It was really, really, really risky.
Yeah.
And also it was a real risk to reputation as well, because we didn't really know what we were getting into. Yeah. And as the days passed, getting closer and closer to the event, it was becoming riskier and riskier and riskier. And the rule book was ripped up and changed every single day leading to the event, because of the COVID conditions were changing. And one minute it was a PCR test to get in. And I pushed back and said, I've just been literally on the national news saying it's the lateral flow test. And now you're telling me it's a PCR test. No. So there's all these things, but myself, Richard, our production team, Tech UK, Sam Newson, his guy, Mick, our health and safety guy is the top health and safety guy in the whole country. A guy called Eddie, who's a professor of health and safety in Lancaster University. Professor Ian Bookham, who is the virologist, who's the top guy in the country pretty much. Yeah. And a Liverpool Council. We all collaborated on a daily basis to get this to happen.
Amazing.
And obviously the ravers as well. They took a part just as much as we did. And then we did it, and obviously all the DJs. And then we got to the day, and it was happening. And I just couldn't believe all that effort and the risk, and also the amount of stick and shit I was getting online.
I was going to say, I was wondering how much shit or how much pushback you got from it.
It was horrendous.
Yeah,
I mean, but I'm talking 10,000 digs.
Yeah.
People, one person spray painting, giving me shit around Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah. Saying that of all things, that people are entitled to their opinion, and that's cool.
Of course, yeah.
Just don't call me a Tory. Do you want anything else? But anyway, it was just funny. But this is how sensitive it was.
Yeah.
Really, really sensitive for people, because obviously the understanding of the reality of testing and lateral flow tests and all that now, compared to like 6 months ago, it was night and day. So there was a fair amount of pushbacks, and also all these kind of like, what are they called? These groups of people that are ready and like to attack certain things that they disagree with. There's like mass WhatsApp groups. It's like, let's get him. And there's like thousands of people head towards these things that they disagree with. So I was getting, and Circus was, and all the professors, we're all getting loads and loads of stick online.
I can imagine.
The thing, the event was so amazing, and the coverage, you couldn't escape it worldwide for 2 days or 3 days. It was on every major news and radio station, everywhere. The events were absolutely amazing. The results from it were really positive and helped the rest of the UK open. And it was magnificent, and there was no problems. Everyone was in an amazing mood. It was the best DJing experience of my life or anyone's lives that was in there over that weekend. It was incredible. And it was really positive. And then it got like 8 billion interactions.
Jesus.
So if you're getting 10, 12,000 people giving you shit, and they are fully entitled to their opinion based upon what the viewpoints, and that's totally cool, and I support it. But it's a grain of sand on a beach.
Totally.
You know, and it was, and also it taught me a lot about politics. The last thing I want to do is be a politician, but you really can't please everybody.
No,
you have to just accept some people are going to give you stick, and you know, all you can stick onto is your intention. And your intention is, I'm trying to do the right thing to you know, what's in my heart to kind of cause, to coin a bit of a like cliche. Yeah. But so that's what we did, and it was absolutely outstanding. And it led to all sorts of opportunities for the rest of the UK, and here we are.
Well, I think you're right, because when it happened, what was it, in April?
It was the 30th of April and the 1st of May.
So I remember when it happened, and it was like, it was such an international thing in our industry. Obviously, it is an international industry, what we're in, but DJs from like all around the world, like, and also DJs that aren't necessarily in-house techno, etc., genres. It was like everybody was like, this is the first proper event, and it's a huge thing. It's a huge part of history now, if you know what I mean. And it was amazing. But I guess the thing that I wanted to know more is like, what was it like doing the events and then having to not do them again for like another couple of months and just kind of sit there? Or did you carry on doing events?
Well, yeah, I guess because we've been given the nods that we were going to open originally June 21st. Yeah. We were just planning. Everybody was like, it was like full steam ahead. Yeah, it was, yeah. But then obviously that got put back again, frustratingly. Yeah. So I guess, you know, I was literally off my head with it all. I was mentally stimulated like you wouldn't believe for at least 2 weeks afterwards. It took me 2 weeks to kind of come down from all that. And not just me, all of us that were involved. You know, and all the circus crew, Neve and Jay and Tom and everyone that works for us. It was really, it was magical on a like biblical level. And you're right, it was historical.
It was.
And even when it was happening, everybody knew that this is significant. Yeah. So I was really, really proud of the whole team. And you know, I don't give myself too much in the way of props or anything ever. But the whole team collectively showed up. Yeah. You know, and then, like I say, all the ravers did, and the people of Liverpool and the council and all the kind of test centres, every single person was on point. And it wasn't just Circus. It was collectively, it was probably 10,000 people that were involved in that, one way or another. So, man, it was brilliant. But getting back into normality afterwards, I mean, what's normal after that? The next thing we did in the same venue was at 2L Row parties about 2 months later, which ended up being our last events at that particular venue.
How come the venue stopped? Politics?
Do you want the diplomatic answer or the real answer?
No, the real answer.
Okay, the diplomatic answer then is Everton. Everton were always going to be into Bramley Moor Dock.
Okay. Are you an Everton supporter?
No, definitely not now. But they were always bought the dock, and they were going to get in there. And the original plan was for us to leave on January the 1st. But Everton needed to get in 6 months earlier, so it'd give us short notice to leave and find a new home.
Is there anything like that else in Liverpool though? Because that venue was amazing.
Well, just by chance, we've been looking for a new venue because we knew this was coming. Yeah, looking for a new venue for 4 years. And just by chance, we found somewhere that was literally across the road.
Oh, amazing! Because I remember I played there probably about 4 years ago.
For the MK party?
For the MK party, yeah. And I was talking to Rich, and he was saying that, you guys are looking for a venue then, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, just by chance, the new venue's across the road. It's basically the same, slightly better, maybe. And we've done 1, 2, 3 or 4 parties there now.
Oh, amazing.
And obviously we're just figuring it all out. But overall, luckily we managed to start our first party in Blackstone Street Warehouse. Happened to be Circus' birthday. Happened to be me and Carl Cox. So it was
not a bad party
to start. Yeah, exactly. So that was okay. Cool. And we started with a bit of a bang.
Yeah.
And we're there now, and it's epic. I mean, it's a proper operation. It's not like you just turn up to a club with your headphones, or you hire the venue. It's like basically like a mini festival in terms of the production and the health and the safety and everything. It's really, really, just like significant. And
what came first, Circus, the label, or Circus, the events?
Oh, the events. The event started in 2002, and the label started about 7 years later.
How did the event start? Was it you DJing, or was it something you just wanted to start?
No. Well, how Circus started was I was already touring around, and I was in America. And, I had a meeting with Cream because I was resident of Cream at the time, and I was playing 6 hours in the Annex, which is like the original room of Cream. And I was bringing people in like Onions and Joski to the UK for the first time, and the Womadoo Project, the H Foundation, and Peace Division, and all stuff like that. And I was kind of making this room, and it was really kind of cool and interesting, and for the heads really, but rammed and going off and Liverpool fun. In the other room, it was getting so candy hard house that it wasn't even kind of like trance anymore. It was becoming almost
Scouse house.
It was just like, I didn't even know what it was anymore. Hard, funny, like hard house. I was like, guys, look, we need to think about this somehow, because I can't be doing that in one room and then the total opposite is in the other room for the same ticket price. Why don't we start my own night, or leave? And I'll just go off, and you're like, okay, well, you can start your own night, because I had a good following in Liverpool. And after that conversation, I went off on a day out in Miami, which means that like anything goes. Yeah. And we ended from one place and another place, and met Steve-O from Jackass, and we just dicking around, and ended up in this penthouse party, and I jumped on the decks, and all the kind of UK industry are there. Everyone's going nuts, and I'm absolutely rocking it in this penthouse. Everyone's going crazy. Circus, that's what I'll call it. It was, and like everyone was like rolling around, being total, and it's just fun people having a great time, listening to good music. So we went back and said to Cream, okay, we're going to call the night Circus, and we're going to start it with this person and all that. But then Cream closed. Yeah. Out the blue with no warning. They obviously had no warning either. So I spoke to my good friends, Richard McGuinness, and said, look, man, and actually he phoned me and said, Cream is closed. Do you want to start your night Circus? And this other venue at the time it was called The Mask. Yeah. I said, yeah, man, let's just do it. We put in £500 each, and we just started expecting
500 quid each for a night now is like, you look back at that and you're like, Jesus Christ, how did we get away with that?
How did we get away with it? Yeah, it's mental.
But it goes to show how the industry's changed, right? Because you could put on a wicked night for £1,000.
Yeah, I guess, but we did. We got like 400, 500 people in this amazing theatre, and it was really, really a great gig. Everyone that was seeing me in the Annex, everybody just literally came straight over, and it felt right, because my ethos for everything is always the same. It's great music, and people are having a good time, and they're made to feel welcome. They're made to feel part of the community. It's not like there's no us and them. I hate that shit. They loathe it, actually. I want people to just feel like they can just relax and have fun and be silly, listen to great music. You can have fun and listen to new music. It's not simultaneously.
That's what we do it for, right? Like that's what clubs are about. Is I've said it. I'm like a broken record on this podcast. I've said it so many times. It's about escapism. For me, is like clubs is about allowing everybody that goes to clubs to escape reality to a certain extent, and kind of escape the mundane 9-to-5 jobs that a lot of people do, and kind of escape all their issues that we all have, if you know what I mean. And I think when you go into a club and it's like a pretentious vibe and it's not relaxed, it's not fun, it's not what you want. It's really not what you want.
it's the total opposite of the rave ethos. The ethos is, what's your name?
Yeah.
What have you had? Where are you from? That's the phrase that pays, so to speak. And it's really important for me that people, when they come to any circus events, they feel they can come on their own.
Do you just do big? Is it just big events now that you guys do, or do you do smaller events in clubs and things like that?
No, we do a range all the way from kind of like 200 people up to kind of like 4,000.
Yeah.
In fact, the one we were involved in at the Pierhead and on the waterfront a few weeks ago was 12,000.
Was that the Camel Fat Boys?
Yeah.
How was that? It looked amazing.
It was magical.
Yeah,
you know,
it looked amazing.
I know they're my mates and all that, but I really felt like a proud dad.
Yeah.
I really did, because I've seen their journey from playing all the crappy clubs around Liverpool and working their way up and learning how to be like amazing DJs and then amazing producers and, you know, business aficionados, and they've worked so hard. It's the longest overnight success I've ever heard of.
Yeah, because also you look at their career before Camel Fat and kind of seeing what Mike and Dave or what Dave and what they were both doing in Liverpool, but also what Mike was doing production wise as well. And you're just like, it's a long old life. It's a long old life to
shift
get.
In.
Yeah.
So for them to sell 12 or 13,000 tickets on the waterfront on their own,
it's a lot of tickets.
It's a lot of tickets. It's the biggest amount of tickets any electronic music act has sold solo in Liverpool of all time.
Wow, that's special. Did you play that show as well?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I was, you know, there was a real kind of connection with the audience, and, you know, everybody knew it was special.
Yeah.
You know, so there's been so many amazing things this year since obviously the first dance, the 2 days of that.
Yeah.
Then getting into Blackstone Warehouse with Coxie, which was incredible, just about making that happen. Then the Pierhead thing. It's just been one thing after the other in the city. So it's been, and obviously Creamfield selling out, and it's been brilliant.
Yeah. How have you found the crowds? Obviously, like, because COVID took a lot of people out, right? Not as in actually, but like you had people that were raving before COVID, and then COVID changed their lives, and now they're not necessarily going out and things like that. But now you've got a huge young generation that a lot of the younger generation like have never been to clubs. So like at 16 years old when COVID hit, they're now 18 years old going to raves. Did you find like any difference in the like crowds?
Well, I guess on the first dance it was really, really difficult. It wasn't kind of like typical.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the enthusiasm was absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
You know, so people were going nuts like you wouldn't believe from the first beat. But I think that sustained itself for, you know, a couple of months, and how crazy it was at El Row, and then the Coxie gig was just like phenomenal. I do think people's enthusiasm has dipped a little bit lately for a number of reasons. Not just because I think they're overspent economically.
Yeah, totally.
They so a lot of the tickets they bought like a year, 18 months ago or longer. Yeah. So they forget to come to the gigs, because we have sold out gigs. I'd say it's X, you know, only like 65, 70% of the people show up.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. But I mean, and also like you say, there is a new generation of a portion of the audience just learning how to get, you know, accustomed to the rave.
Yeah, it is. I played Mintfest for Patrick about a month ago, and it was very much like that. It felt everyone was loving it, but you could also get a sense where like people were just trying to work out how to fit in. Then like maybe like hold back a little bit because they weren't too comfortable, not because of the area, just because they've never been to something like that.
I think so too. And, you know, and in that position, what I've been doing, I did it on 338 in London on Saturday. Maybe because I'm experienced or maybe confident when I'm DJing or whatever it is. But you almost have to give the audience permission to let rip.
Totally.
You know, so when you start kind of interacting with them and kind of, you know, doing just whatever it is that feels natural, they tend to relax a bit more. I found it's what happened at 338 on Saturday. So if you can hear my cycling being picked up just there in the background,
or the beer bottles, it's fine.
That'd be like a glass of wine. So I think it's our responsibility to make them
Totally.
feel comfortable a little bit.
I think it's our responsibility to to entertain, which I think can kind of get lost sometimes in DJs. We have to entertain the crowd. That's what we're being paid to do, and we have to make, like, I don't know about you, but for me, and I'm pretty sure you're similar, is that when we're playing a show, I have to make sure that everyone is talking about that event afterwards because they had the best time, and you just got to do your thing. And sometimes you're playing a set and it's just not going your way, and you've got to pull some stuff out of the bag and work it.
You've got to dig deep. I find that in those moments, that's when you have to take chances. Not play the hits. Play 100%. Something that you really want to hear.
Yeah.
And they kind of they feed from your enthusiasm. It's a bit risky, I suppose, but that's what I did on Saturday. I wasn't especially enjoying it for a while, just because they had the old 900 mixer.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't sound good. And
it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah. I want to get the most out of my set possible. Yeah. So I want to have the V10 or something that's analog and sounds great. So when your wings are clipped, it frustrates me. But at the same time, I always remind myself, you do know you've been doing this over 20 years.
Yeah.
Sort it out. So I do.
Yeah, no, man, it's good. It's good. The record label, how did that kind of come about?
Frustration. Yeah, just sending music to people and not getting responses back, which is hilarious thinking about it. That the label's 12 years later, and when I send music to people now, I still don't get responses back. I mean, it's probably not as bad as some, but that is one bit of advice I give to kind of new producers or people trying to break through. Look, man, it doesn't matter who you are. You don't expect a response on every demo.
Yeah.
One advice is get that thin as that skin and grow it thicker. Yeah. That's the job.
And just get used to it, because no one ever fucking even your mates half the time. You're like, we just get bombarded with so much music, don't we? It's just, sometimes you just can't actually take it all at all.
Absolutely. But, with the label, I wanted to kind of be able to kind of release music and not wait for other people, and then learn how to run a label and kind of have an additional attribute to to sustain the profile, to be able to kind of keep on doing the gigs.
Yeah.
And as things progressed, I really started enjoying learning how to run a label. And then I suddenly thought, okay, I'm not too bad at this, and I know what to do. And I've got like a shape and a color of the music that I want to release.
Yeah.
And it's not just kind of a 4-track EP of DJ tools. Sometimes that's what I want to do because it makes sense. But generally, particularly over the last few years at least, I want every record to be remembered in 20 years.
Totally. I think it's a really nice kind of forte to kind of live by, right? Is that everything that you release isn't just kind of cannon fodder where you are just going to release it. There's so many record labels out there that just release music because the sake of releasing music, just for catalog, because there is a huge business in just having catalog. But I think having records, I'd personally, with my label, I'm about to start releasing records from other people next year, and for me it's just releasing, I'd rather not release every month. I'd rather just do 3 or 4 releases, but just make sure that every single release that you put out is just on another level.
Absolutely. When I started, I aspired to be kind of at profile levels of certain labels, and over time, when you kind of supersede them a little bit, always looking up. Not really looking at my peers, and even though defected in terms of the infrastructure, not necessarily the musical output, even though everything they do is perfect for their audience. And it's the best run label there is, in terms of the accounting and marketing and the way they kind of get the most out of every single record, and it's pushed on radio, and it's the facilities they run. That's the aspiration. But it's just me. So that's the catch-22. I have an assistant, Tom, he helps me a little bit, So it's pretty difficult. But I think I've done all right considering. It's got a good reputation. The music tends to be in a lot of people's record folders these days, and there's a great range of artists. For like Green Velvet, Clarke, Kerry Chandler, Sasha, Lauren Garnier, people like that. Plus, I always try to support new names as such, always, and everybody gets the same treatment. And you know what? Sometimes it's the new names that kind of tend to have no success. So it's always worth just giving it a go. And like I say, I never look back on the label and think, ever.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good tune, that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I've done that countless of times with my music. It's just release something, and then like a few years later, I'm like, why the fuck did I release that?
We've all been there.
It's the worst, isn't it? It's the worst. Yeah, you've had some pretty big records on Circus. What's the one record that was like took Circus to where you were to where you are now? And I know it's like a journey, and I know things kind of grow and grow over the years, but I feel like there's moments in record labels' careers where it's like goes from one to another level. Yeah,
well, definitely bigger than Prince. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. It made money that was enough to make the label go from like a DJ label to a record label.
Yeah.
And obviously it reignited Green Velvet's appeal to a whole new audience, and then made Hot Since '82 like essentially a household name.
Yeah.
And again, that was Circus Recordings like 6 or 7, 8 years ago or something. So it wasn't anything like the label is now in terms of its infrastructure.
Yeah.
So the fact that it did it with a novice really was fantastic. What else? Say Something by Nasser Baker crossed over.
Wicked record, that.
Yeah, in its own way, and that was cool. And then Switch by Janssens crossed over. But those two records I upstreamed to like other labels.
Okay.
I did one to Ireland, and they gave us a big chunk of money, which obviously the first thing I did was give the artist half.
Yeah.
And then whatever was left over, I reinvested into kind of pushing the label forward. Same with Switch, that went to Armada.
Nice.
But the way I always organise the deals is, look, it stays on the DJ platforms like Beatport and Traxsource with us, and you guys can take it to radio if you wish. But it's good because it means we get a cash injection, and then we can move forward or risk getting these little videos for the next track, or maybe get a slightly better mastering, or push.
So it's running it like a business, isn't it? At the end of the day, and you have to invest back into it for it to grow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm learning. I definitely think it's gotten to the point now where I would probably could do with some support.
Yeah,
I think because I've got opportunities for people happy to kind of come on the label. But yeah, my mind it's got limited space.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? There comes a point where you can only do a certain amount, and that's in everything. That's in life. It's running events. It's doing the record label. Doing everything. You have your priorities. We all have our priorities in life, and sometimes it's like, well, I want to grow this, but I need somebody else that's actually better at this than me.
Absolutely, and I think that's where I'm at. I mean, it's in a strong position, and I've got label works who do all the kind of back end stuff now, and they do a great job. And I've got like certain promo companies making sure it goes to radio, Spotify, and all those things. And I do a lot of the A&R, but I do wonder if it could be improved upon. But I think that with everything though.
Yeah, totally. It is about always improving, right? And just I think for me is like there's something about having an in-house team that kind of works on everything, so everyone kind of gets where the goals are. Because I think sometimes when you have like an external team, the whole kind of vision can kind of get blurred. When you've got an internal team and kind of everyone's working towards the same goals, they kind of it's because the vision's spoken about so often, it's just so easy to just like for everyone to get it. And then when you bring other people,
I think so. The one thing I mix up is the marketing of it though. I go from promo company to promo company depending on the record. And I think that's what keeps it moving.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, here's another one from Circus Recordings on your army or, but it works. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm interested about internal promo as well now, because something that I've done with my records now is we have external promo, but a lot of it is just me mailing it out to people.
Yeah,
and I get so much more response from that than an in-flight or something like that.
Absolutely, and I think, and it keeps it a bit more
personal
and special as such. It's not just like another DJ promo because I don't know about you, but I must get 100 a week.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get through about 10.
I don't listen to any, if I'm honest. It sounds really bad. I'd rather spend 2 hours on Beatport a week, really digging. And then any emails from my friends. But I don't know about you, but for my DJ sets is 85, 90% of my own music.
I see.
And then the rest is kind of what people have sent me or what I found.
I guess so. I mean, mine's probably that with the label and like my DJ mates as well. Well, nice. I have to say, not just your tunes are slamming.
Thanks, mate.
especially late, holy shit, that hymn record.
Yeah, it's been doing business. It's weird because it came out. I don't know about if you found this with the record label and your records, but there seems to be records that came out during lockdown because I didn't stop releasing music. I don't know what you guys did with the label, but I
just made it more Spotify friendly.
Yeah, same. And what I'm finding now is records that got released during lockdown are now kind of showing their face again.
I see.
It's really interesting how different releasing records are in COVID and outside of COVID, because having DJs play your records it changes everything. Like you see Spotify numbers rise up. Beatport, like the hymn didn't do top 10 in Beatport, but it was at number 11 for about 3 weeks. It was just like there, and people just keep playing it, which obviously you didn't get during COVID. So it would like do well for like a week and then kind of just fall out because people were kind of bored of it. But yeah, how often are you releasing records yourself?
On the label, it's once every 3 weeks, give or take. Sometimes once every 2 weeks, sometimes once every month. Me personally, 6 a year, maybe one remix. It really depends. But I'm never in a particular hurry, But yeah, I am running out of tunes though. I need to make a few more.
Yeah,
I've not made anything for like 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, and I used to do stuff like at least once a week.
Was that just because you're so busy doing other stuff, or just not in the mood?
It's a change in personal circumstance.
Yeah,
should we say?
Yeah. How did you find writing music during COVID?
I did some all right stuff. I think I did like Camel's collab during COVID, and that's done really well. I think. I did the Boy North remix, which
it's wicked.
Which went well. It's been okay. I think it's just been the last couple of months. I've just not been up for it.
Yeah.
As such, don't get me wrong. I've still made a couple that are strong. There's this one called Wild Style. I think I've done the singer. She's really good. Another one I found on Twitter. Brilliant. And that's a strong record actually. Played at Creamfields and it's just like straight away. Yeah. So again, I've got a few things ready to go, but I'm not in the zone because I moved back to my house and I'm doing it up and I'm doing all those things. So I'm in the zone and making my house feel like home again and all those things. So once I feel at home, then I'll start making tunes again.
Yeah. Do you have a studio in your house, or is it something you do externally?
No, I've just really basic setup. I mean, I've got keyboards and stuff and all that in the loft, and I aren't even plugged in. But it's just literally my desktop MIDI keyboard and my 2 speakers now.
It's amazing what you can do nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't
You
need
know,
anything.
and I make music in a really weird way.
Okay.
So scrappy. I mean, so I will literally sometimes just rifle through all sorts of old samples, but then play something that's really melodic, and
Yeah.
then maybe whip out the MIDI from the sample and see what works.
Yeah.
And then, there's no technique.
Really, I love that.
Yeah.
I do some writing for some people, and I did a session with someone last week, and their projects are a fucking mess.
Really?
And they send me the project over, and I'm like, how do you work? Because I've got really bad OCD on
really?
on my projects. It's like everything has to be labeled, everything like sometimes color coded, but I know exactly where everything is. And I'm like, how do you live like this? It's like, you're a psychopath. Just can't deal with it.
But I'm more like you. I like things to be organized because that's how I operate.
Yeah.
But, in terms of like a skill set, I don't know how I've managed to make some kind of quite significant records because I don't know. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I don't give myself credit where credit is due in terms of production.
Yeah.
But I feel sometimes like amateur.
Yeah.
But, I get some good results. How's that room?
Whatever works, right? That's the thing, is that you don't have. That's the great thing about music, is that you actually don't have to be musical. And maybe unless you're like a composer, like for film scores and things like that, like I think that's the only part in music where you actually have to be good at writing music and kind of understanding it. But especially in electronic music, you don't really have to be musical at all. You just need to know what sounds good.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm okay. I can kind of figure my way around things as such. But I think sometimes I try to make it too musical.
Yeah.
And then you kind of lose the punch of it all. But
that was me during lockdown. It was like writing loads of like musical stuff, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, this just isn't going to work on a dance floor. But nice to listen to. But I don't know. I think, what's your thoughts on like albums for artists nowadays?
Well, I've done 4 over the years, and I did one 3 years ago, and it was more like more of a like cathartic process. It's a really personal album, and I literally went down the full doing the album route, and every track had a story and all that. And it was a proper campaign and everything that went with it. Did it tell any? I have no idea. I don't think so. I mean, it's not recouped.
Yeah,
it's not recouped. I don't think. And it was nice to make some like kind of really satisfying tunes, and I really pushed myself into different directions, like songwriting and all that stuff, and it was cool. But I mean, I think if you're going to make an album, do it for yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. And then it's something to kind of look back on as a moment in time. We're doing it as a economic.
No, definitely not.
Unless like a major record label says, by the way, can you do an album? Here's a check. I would think about it then. And then there's money in the bank already, and you can kind of you can have the facility to kind of
do what you want.
Spread your wings a bit.
Yeah, for me, I'd love to turn me into an album artist. So it's like an album a year rather than like a single artist. There's something like, I guess I always look up to like the Chems and Faithless and people like that, kind of who I grew up around listening to, and like there was a certain excitement around the album that was about to be released, which I think it's still there with singles, but I just don't know if it's there as much, because we live in like such a throwaway kind of music society where it's like there's how many records come out on a Friday every week. It's just like thousands. And I think it would be nice to build a bit more of a story around artists.
Well, I think that it's all down to having amazing music on the album. Not just the Chems and Faithless, and even to the Camel Fat guys in some respects. It's banger after banger after banger. Really enormous, significant records that all kind of like shape up in a festival environment. And that's, if you're going to do an album, for me as an electronic music producer, you shouldn't be holding back.
No, I agree. I agree. It's tough, but I think that's the thing, is album is very musical, right? Generally, and a lot of us aren't necessarily musical people.
Well, Tom and Ed are especially musical, for the Chems, and
great sample finders.
Great sample finders, and what they have is charisma in their music. And it's interesting, and the sound, and it's and they make it from the first beat, like Daft Punk 2, from the first bit to the last. It's just exciting.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. Rather than it's just making people feel energized.
I think it's also converting that to a live show, right? Because I think sometimes just a DJ set from if somebody's playing their album is not as interesting. Whereas you go see the Chems live, or you see Faithless, or even Daft Punk, but when they were around, like, it was exciting.
Yeah, it was.
They did something different.
It's altered, especially now that the facilities we have in terms of visuals and lights and the show and all those things, which are crazy expensive, but they, it makes a difference.
It's like Eric, right? When Eric did the Epic stuff, and like he's had a phenomenal career, like for years and years and years. And I felt like they kind of got to a point where he hadn't released like anything massive like for a while, and then he came out with Epic, and you're just like, okay, he doesn't need to release anything like commercial or like a big club hit, because this is what he's doing is just on another level. Have you had him for
we
Circus?
had him do 2 days in a row the other day.
Yeah, how was it?
At the new venue, and it was incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, for that sound, for what he does, he's top of his game, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the best.
It was like, like you say, the sound, the lights, the visuals, everything about it. And it wasn't his Halo show. It was like, a diet Halo show or something, but it was, and he's got a fan base. They love his ass.
Seriously.
They really do. And he rocked it. But again, he uses a 900 mixer. I was trying to tell him, mate, you didn't know you can get so much more out of that sound system I've just hired.
Yeah.
But anyway, V10s all the way.
V10. What do you think of the 3000s as well?
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
sound good.
Love them. I love
them. Yeah. Just getting my head around them. I've had a set for like 18 months through there. I've only used them a couple of times, but yeah,
they're great. How's what's the plans for the rest of the year? I know we don't have long left, but have you got anything on the diary?
Nothing crazy. Than we're doing a lot of kind of like circus events in Liverpool, which are the way we operate these days. Is we run it as circus, and we run it as circus events.
Yeah. Circus
is me, Corolla, Jamie Jones, Coxie, all stuff like that. But then we also do the circus events, which is like MK, Sonny Fodera, like Eric Pridz, and like their branded shows. We use the machine to do that, other people's stuff.
Totally.
And we do what we do, which is the traditional house and techno sound.
Yeah.
And that's cool, and it's opened up all sorts of opportunities, really.
Massive,
but yeah, so we're doing lots of them at the new venue. We've got Sonny Fodera twice next weekend.
He kills it in the UK and Europe, doesn't he?
Crazy,
like mad tickets.
Mad, yeah.
Fair play to him.
Bonkers. So we've got him, and then it's Top in the week after, then MK the week after, and then we've got lots of stuff coming to like Corolla coming back this year, and Michael Baby, and probably fuck it, I'll just tell you, we've got a massive Drum Code show coming to Liverpool. It's Liverpool debut for Drum Code, so that's coming, and we're just going on with that. And then obviously I'm touring, going back to America, gigs up and down the UK.
When are you off to America again?
Halloween weekend.
Oh really? Where are you playing?
New York, Brooklyn on Friday, and then Denver on the Saturday, and then Vegas on the Sunday, Halloween. Are
you playing for Brennan in Vegas? In Denver?
I'm not. Yeah.
Option 4, legend.
Yeah, it's me and Nicole Mudaber. So it'll be great. I've got loads of friends in Denver as well. Hippie from H Foundation lives there as well, and so it'll be good. And again, get back to America during it's a hike.
Yeah, it is,
and it's good, and it'll be fun, and I know that weekend will be brilliant. So I'm looking forward to it.
They love Halloween over there. I actually go out that weekend as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's and then I'm there for like a month again.
Oh, wow.
And then back here for Christmas.
Well,
Nice.
this is the thing with me. I go and I say, well, I'm away. I've got 3 gigs. I'll be away for 3.5 days.
Yeah.
Du-du-du-du-du.
Smash them out.
Yeah, because it's exhausting, and but that's the way I want to do it.
Yeah, for me, it's like obviously I play out there more than I do in the UK and Europe. So I was like having a home or having a base in America is so key for me. It's kind of like I have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to be back here more. To be fair, it'd be fun. It's nice just to be. It's so different here, isn't it? Like although we speak the same language, although we do a lot of the same things, and home's still home, isn't it? You never kind of stop that.
Absolutely. And the one thing that's over here is all the clubs are full of ravers for the most part. Whereas in America, they are sometimes, and for the most part, they're full of people having a night out.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the UK, if you go to a club, people are there to have it.
We party on another level in the UK compared to over there. And I hadn't played I played Mintfest not so long ago, and that was the first show I'd played in the UK for like 3.5 years, I think. It's a long time. And it was wild to see how much they get on it compared to they do in America.
Yeah, true.
Especially up north. You Northerners are just on another level.
Cool, man.
Dude, let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. How can people follow you? How can people kind of get in touch with the record label and things like that?
Yeah, I'm Yousef Circus on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And if you want to send me a demo, no more than 2 on SoundCloud in my Instagram messages, and I'll get it at some point. That's myself takes ages. Don't send me 10 tracks in 1 week.
That's
and listen to the first 2.
That's the worst.
And be nice. And I'll be helpful. I speak to people every day on Instagram, offering like advice and mentorship and what about this, like literally every day. So maybe I should do that eventually.
Do it, man. Do it.
I just wanted to say apologies for having a blocked nose.
No worries. No worries,
I'm just back in this house. It's so dusty at the moment. But and I've not been exercising this weekend.
Get back on it, mate. I did a horrible 45-minute on the step machine this morning. And then a sauna, and I was like dying. But got to keep fit, don't you?
Oh man, you're absolutely funny.
You got it.
I love getting up. I'm going to go for a run now. If I've got this like 10k kilo vest,
do it.
I'll kick it on, and I'm going to run 10 miles in rain, shine. I love it.
It's the best.
Headphones on and techno.
Best. I don't listen to music when I work out for some reason.
Sometimes I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Before you know it, you've been running for an hour listening to this kind of. I'm listening to one at the moment about Flight 149, which was the last flight to land in Kuwait before the Iraq invasion. And there's a British Airways flight, and what happened? It's so bizarre that it even happened in this way. So,
what's that on? What podcast is that?
I go on Audible.
Okay,
have a look.
Send me the link, would you?
Yeah. I've got like Operation Trojan Horse.
Okay.
It's on have you checked out David Goggins?
No. Does he have one? I know who he is, but does he have one on Audible? He will make any man.
Listen to that. And then go back and listen to you saying, I've done 45 minutes on a step and I've had a sauna. After you listen to that, you'll be like, okay.
Yeah, it makes you feel like the worst person and the laziest person. He's just a machine.
Every time I see his face, I go, okay.
I in the summer I tried to do his 4 miles every 4 hours for 24 hours.
Oh, yeah, really? That was it?
And I didn't do it. I ended up getting super injured, but my mates did it. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. I wanted to do that, but I couldn't.
It's rough. But I've got like a absolutely buggered knee, and I know he would just go through it, but I'm not David Goggins. I'm like, I've got to walk. Mate, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, man. Good
keep
luck
in
with
touch.
everything, bro.
See you soon. Keep safe. Bye, mate.
Man.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep safe. Please share it. Send it to everyone. Don't forget to hit subscribe. See you next time.